Before I start, I would like to call my 3 kids up. So it's obvious that I'm a father because I've got children. And what I want to say about these 3 kids are that they are uniquely different. One of my sons is smart, and the other one is smarter. I'm not going to tell you who that is, and they'll probably fight to prove the other one wrong. But then God's given me a daughter. A daughter that is again completely different and unique. And there's a word in Afrikaans, betowerend. Like, ja, sy kantoor met my. There's this expression that a daughter can wrap a dad around her little pinky. I don't know how she does it. Her eyes, her look. She can get away with murder. And her room always smells like flowers and vanilla. In fact, if I had to be blind, I can find where she is by just smelling her. My oldest son, Ben, is leaving home next year. It's that, yeah. Oh, it's there's a bit of a mixed feeling, you know. There's an excitement. It's time. Got to get out of the house. But then there's also a tenderness because I love having him home. But he is going to go on a journey and he needs to find himself. He's taking a gap year. And everything he has learned over the last 18 years that hopefully we've put in him is now going to get tested. Like what's inside here. He is going to have to find and the skills to navigate through life. Tristan, I think it was this year that you became taller than me. Is it this year or last year? I'm officially the shortest man in my household. And so something you don't know about Tristan, which is a secret goal, an aspiration in his life, is to be taller than his brother.
Not there yet.
So in our household, in our home, there's all sorts of rivalry. Fighting, arm wrestling, flexing of muscle. Often between these two, all in the best of ways. So as a dad, I'm sure you can relate to me. It's an awesome privilege to raise kids, but it's also a challenge. So thank you. You may be seated. And so we find that life is a journey where we need to find our place and purpose, and more importantly, where we belong. And our identities are shaped by many, many things, but nothing as much as by our Father's affection and love and lack thereof for us. And so it is said that the biggest problem in the world is fatherlessness. I want to say that the biggest cure to this world is seeing the Father and seeing Him for who He really is. And on that note, I want to introduce you to my dad, Komiso. So I'm going to remove my hat so you can see. There's a bit of a look-alike here. I don't know what type of father you've had, but I'm very grateful for this man. I think one of my favorite memories at a young age was when I was still playing rugby. I was so excited that this man was watching me that when I got the ball, I lost all sense of direction. I took the ball and I ran as fast as I could and scored a try, only to realize I scored on the wrong side. No one was chasing me. I felt superhuman, super fast. But that's what happens when you know the Father sees you. And so, I know you're not perfect. For sure. I'm not perfect. Most of us here are trying to be that, but I've never doubted your love for me. Not a single day. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for a big-hearted Father that loves and cares and has given me a great identity. And I want to honor you for that. Thank you. The title of my message is Sons in Heaven, Fathers on Earth. So before I became a dad, which was in 2007, I myself was a son. And so I didn't know what it means to be a father. I had a wonderful example. But we see this constant struggle in life, not knowing how to be a father. But in order for us to be a father that's present and that's good, we need to remind ourselves that we are sons first. And we have a perfect Father in heaven that gives us an identity. And so, on this Father's Day, I thought it would be good to look at another father in a well-known parable called the prodigal son. It's a story of two sons. The story is full of comparisons and contrasts. There's a returning home to the father from a far-off country by the youngest son, and there's a returning home to and there's a reckless living and a reckless spending, a famine and a feast, a walking away and a running towards, a kiss of betrayal and a welcoming kiss, an older brother who is angry and refuses to celebrate, and a father who pleads with him to join in the celebration. A lot of drama, a lot of emotions, and a lot of disbelief. To set the scene, we need to start at the very beginning in verse 1 in chapter 15. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." So what do we see here? There's two very distinct groups. Now, I was thinking, how do we unpack it today in our culture? So your sinners and your tax collectors would be bad people. Those people you don't want to be seen with. It's like, when you gossip and you tell stories like, did you hear what happened to that person? Did you hear what that man did? It's typically the people that needs to get bailed out of jail. It's got a criminal record. It's people that never pay their fines, have a lot of fines. Kids, it's the type of friends at school that your parents would warn you about. Said, not good. Don't hang with that guy. Or if you want to have a sleepover, never. You're not going to sleep over at that guy's house. It's the not so good people. And then you've got the other set, the Pharisees and the scribes. Now these people never get fines. They are almost perfect, holier than thou. They are the respected. They are the people of good moral standing. And it's to these groups of people that Jesus tells the parable of the son. So let's start by Luke 15, verse 11. I'm going to be reading out of the NIV if you want to follow. And Jesus continues. He says, "There was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' And the audience said, 'What? This has never been heard of. Why is this such a shock?' It is because an inheritance was never received before the father passed away. What happened here is that the son was basically saying, you're as good as dead to me. I want your stuff, but not you. This request was so deeply shameful and rebellious, it was a public dishonoring of the Father. Never before has this been done. It's unheard of. No one would say that. But the more shocking response is what the Father did. It says, so he divided his property between them. To understand what happens here is to also understand the culture, that it's a patriarchal honor culture in that time. The father's role in a Jewish household was one of very, very high dignity. A son shaming the father would expect public rejection, beating, or even disownment. According to traditional Middle Eastern culture, a father could respond in one way: to drive his son out of the house, verbally, or if needed, with physical blows. That was expected. That was the norm. How dare he dishonor his father? So what was expected is the father to say, well, have it your way. You don't want to be here? Go. But the father divides his property and he gives the son what he wants. Then it says, not long after that, the youngest son got together all that he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. Another culture ceremony that was commonly practiced was called the Kitsatsa. I don't know if I say it right. But what would happen is, if an inheritance was squandered on Gentiles, like what the son has done, the community would gather together and they would break a pot in front of this person and they would cut him off from the community, never to be welcomed again. It was a public, like, this is what we got to do now. This is important, as we will see later on, that the youngest son knew he could never return and was willing to stay in a village far away as a hired servant, because he literally deserved the Kitsatsa. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am, starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and he kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Now the fattened calf was a very unique piece of ownership, property, which was rich in value and very costly. It was something that was only ever killed when there was a massive public celebration. It's not something that you do in your home. You invite everyone. Everyone comes. Everyone knows something's going down. This was a village-wide feast, not just a family meal. The father was publicly declaring his son's restored and inviting others to celebrate that mercy. It's very costly and most valued. So the father says, let's have a feast and celebrate. For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the oldest son was in the field, and he came near the house and heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him, what was going on? Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother became angry and refused to go in, so his father went out and pleaded with him. The oldest son's refusal was an absolute insult, a cultural insult. Not joining the feast was a public insult to the father. He was blatantly saying, I do not agree with what's going down here. This is not right. This is not how we should spend our wealth. This is not reason to celebrate. You already gave away a third of our inheritance to him. Now you're giving our precious, most valuable possession to throw a feast for someone who walked away on you, that squandered everything on prostitutes. But we see something that the father does towards this disrespectful child. Another break in dignity for the sake of love. The father leaves the celebration and he goes and pleads with the son. So two very undignified things that both the son and the father does. But he answered his father and said, look, all these years I have been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. In order to understand the magnitude of this, we need to understand that in Hebrew culture it was very community driven. Your identity was in the community. A person's value was often tied to family and community loyalty. This parable flips it. It highlights personal repentance and relational grace over reputation. So Jesus used this story to turn Hebrew culture expectations upside down, inside out. A shamed father behaves with reckless love. A rebellious son is restored with dignity. A loyal but proud son is exposed for his own estrangement. The message to his Jewish audience was clear. The Father's mercy defines human norms and justice, honor, and worthiness, and it is available to both sinners and the self-righteous alike, represented in this parable by the younger and the older brother. Okay, so now that we've got context, we've got culture, we understand a little bit more, we see there's two sons, and wedged in between there's a father. And so Jesus is putting a spotlight on this father, and he redefines what God is like by telling us how this father responds. And this is really the heart of the message this morning. We are going to look at 5 things what the father does. So as Jesus redefines God the Father, we are going to look at them briefly and hopefully pick up on the Father heart of God. So number 1, God sees you. Do you know that His eyes are on you? You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I felt like God said to me, when you see the sun, S-U-N, blazing big sun, you forget to look at your shadows. Sometimes we're so overwhelmed by our shadows and the things we're ashamed of, the things that, if other people would know this about me, how would they treat me? But if we look at the sun and we realize His eyes are on us, we live very, very different lives. So the first thing in verse 20 says, so he got up and went to his father, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. I can't imagine a father on a big porch, big veranda, walking up and down. Is that him? Has anyone seen him? Maybe he's got a set of binoculars and he just stares and waits. I think it must have been the first thing he did in the morning, the last thing at night. This waiting is not coincidental. It's not like the son just arrived and it's like, oh, you're back. The father had a longing to see the son return. He was pacing up and down, looking out for him daily, waiting, hoping with anticipation that his son would return. This posture and verb shows God's heart towards the lost. This tells us that the Father's grace precedes repentance. It reminds us that distance doesn't qualify us. It doesn't matter how far away you are or how close you are. The Father sees you. Even when we feel far off spiritually, emotionally, or morally, God sees us clearly, knows our story, and longs to restore us. So not only does God see us, but He also has great compassion. And when I think of the eyes of the Father on me, and I think of compassion, I think of something deep within. It's all those emotions, those things that moves us. When last you were at the airport and you see little kids waiting for grandparents to come. The moment they see them, they just run. It's like they jump and they are exuberant. It's like they scream, they yell. There's a deep compassion that came before confession. The son hadn't yet said a single word of apology. He was still dirty, he was ashamed and busy rehearsing his speech. Yet the Father already had compassion. God's compassion doesn't wait for us to clean up, tidy up. It contrasts us with the older brother. Later in the story, the older brother shows anger and entitlement, not compassion. This highlights the radical difference between God's mercy and human judgment. The Father's compassion reveals God's core emotion towards the lost, not frustration, but love. It's a reminder that when we return, God doesn't lecture us, He embraces us. Psalm 103, verse 8-13 says it so beautifully. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. He will not always accuse, nor will He harbor His anger forever. He does not treat us as our sins deserve or repay us according to our iniquities. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is the love for those who fear Him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has He removed our transgressions from us. As a father has compassion on his children. So the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. And then it says the father ran. So it's not just his eyes that's on you. It's not just deeply compassionate. It extends to the legs. Running back then was a very, very undignified thing to do for an older man. Kids and youth would often run, but not the owner of an estate. In ancient Jewish culture, wealthy patriarchs didn't run. It meant lifting their robes and exposing their legs, and it was considered undignified and shameful. Can you picture it? Legs that have never seen the sun, running, maybe falling over, getting up, running. So the father to run shows that he cast aside his pride and social norms out of a deep love. Why did he run? Because he was protecting the son from community shame. A son who disgraced his father and squandered his inheritance might have faced public shaming or even legal repercussions like the Seremi Kitsata. He runs to reach him before the villagers could reject him, covering the shame publicly. The father ran because love overrode dignity and compassion overcome condemnation. It's a beautiful picture of God's proactive grace. He runs to us while we are still broken and far off. Okay, now I'm going to need one of my kids to come up. Megan, I choose you. So I want you to stand over there. So you're ready for this? So we see the Father's eyes on us. I see you. There's a compassion, there's an emotion. It's one that is expressive. And there's a running towards you. And then there's an embrace. So I'm running. I embrace her. And maybe I even swing her around. And it's one of those embraces that after a while gets uncomfortable. I'm so happy to see you. So happy to have you. You are mine. You are mine. Something like that. The embrace wasn't a high five, fist bump, or a quick hug. It was an embrace that was uncomfortable, that lingers and communicates a very, very deep love. It wasn't hesitant or formal. It was immediate, public, and heartfelt. It was an embrace that felt warmth and intimate. So I have this friend, Andy Lizevich. Oh man, he used to give the best hugs. If he would approach you, you would have to take a deep breath, because he had a way to get you in a grip where he would hold you. I'll be like, tap out, I need to breathe. It's one of those hugs. I miss his hugs. It reflects the overflow of divine grace. The Father doesn't just forgive, he lavishes affection. The Greek phrase used implies falling on the neck, a passionate and overwhelming hug. God's grace doesn't trickle, it overflows. It speaks to emotional and spiritual healing. In summary, it is not just a pardon, it is a reunion. The fifth thing that he did is he kissed him. And a kiss was a sign of affection. After the Father saw him, after he was moved with compassion, it extended to his legs and arms. He shows his Son with all of his affection by kissing him. I'm going to need another prop. So my wife volunteered, this is not the same. And I choose T-Man. Come here. Are you ready for this?
Speak Megan.
You want me to choose Megan? Really?
Kissing for hours.
So in Afrikaans culture, it's actually quite common for a father to kiss a son. And it's actually something that we've lost in our family. Today's the day we're going to reinstate that culture. So, just bear with me. Embrace yourselves. So what the Father did, after he hugged him, after he saw him, after he came running towards him and embraced him, he came up to him and he kissed him. But he didn't just do it once. I love you. That didn't go too bad. The Father's kiss is incredibly rich in culture, emotional, and it has a spiritual meaning. It seals full forgiveness and reconciliation. In the ancient world, a kiss was a sign of acceptance and peace. How many of you know that you have peace with the Father? You don't need to earn it. The punishment that brought us peace was on Jesus. The Father turned his face away from his Son so that the Father's face can be turned towards us. We don't have to earn it. We cannot. We don't have to fight for it. We just need to embrace it. We just need to receive it, even if it's uncomfortable. He did this to restore a relationship. The Father's kiss says, you're not just tolerated, you're fully restored as my Son. It confirms that the relationship is healed, not by the Son's worthiness, but by the Father's grace. It breaks all shame with tenderness. It publicly affirms sonship. And no one had the right to challenge it because Jesus did it publicly. The Father's kiss means you are forgiven, accepted, and loved completely. It is a gesture of restored identity, emotional healing, and public redemption. The kiss is God's answer to our shame. You are still mine. So some translations talks about the prodigal son. The word prodigal means reckless spending. It can be in a negative way, like the son wasted all this inheritance. But there's another kind of spending, a positive one of abundance and generosity. And so we see a prodigal father who doesn't do it moderately, calculated, but extravagantly. I want to end off by 3 other things that the father does. The father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe." So, this is not my best robe. It used to be mine. One of the kids claimed it. Kurt, you up? So he says, "Put on my robe." Put it on. Why was the robe important? The robe speaks of the restored honor. Most likely the father's own robe. It means that I'm covering over your sin and your nakedness. With my robe, you have my office and my honor. A lot of us believe that we are forgiven. But how many of us believe that we are loved? How many of us believe that we belong? The father did all of that, but then he gave a robe. He also gave a ring. Now I wear this ring because it reminds me that I belong to someone else. But there's a ring that the Father gives the Son. And this ring talks of authority and family status. And the last thing the Father gives the Son is sandals. Okay. Can I have my ring too? Put your ring on. He gives him the sandals. Why did he give him sandals? Because only free men wore sandals. How do you know if someone is a slave or a free man? You look to see if they wear sandals. So slaves find their freedom by either running from the master or earning it. The younger son ran away to get his freedom, and the older son tried to earn it. What Jesus does here is he says, it's neither. You're both in need of my love and my affection and my identity I want to give you. You don't deserve it, and you cannot earn it. It is a free gift. And this is where I need to land it, coming in for the landing. In this beautiful parable, I think we all can relate somewhat to the younger or the older son. I feel at times I'm the younger, times I feel I'm the older. But in this message, I feel like God is saying salvation is not found in running from the law, nor salvation found by obeying the law. It's found in accepting and seeing the Father's undeserving, unconditional, always and forever love that makes you and I true sons in heaven so we can be fathers on earth.